Maybe your roommate stepped on your MacBook, or maybe you put your MacBook in your backpack and threw it into the overhead bin of a plane and somebody squashed it. Regardless of how it happened, broken LCDs are such a bummer, and the repair usually costs you a couple $100s. Hi, I'm MJ with iFixit, and today I'm going to show you how to replace your LCD yourself. It'll save you a lot of money, and it's actually pretty fun. It's possible to replace the LCD of any MacBook, but today I'm specifically repairing an original plastic MacBook, and as I do, I'll give you some tips for some of the trickier parts. Before you order your replacement LCD, it's important to know that you've got the right part for the right MacBook, so check the model number of your computer on our site first. What's great about this repair is that there are hardly any tools required. I've got a coin, a plastic spudger, a card that I don't mind damaging, a Phillips 00 screwdriver from our 26-piece bit driver kit, a replacement LCD, of course, and a screw tray, which isn't totally necessary but is really useful because there are a lot of screws and a lot of steps. This is just an overview, so when you're replacing your LCD, it's important that you're following the repair guide on our site. I've jumped ahead and we'll get started with the display assembly already removed. It's a good time to mention that although you can replace your LCD without removing the display assembly, I wouldn't really recommend it. Removing the display assembly does take a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it because in the end it's easier and you're less likely to break stuff. Now that I've got all of my parts and tools laid out, I can get started on my repair. We're going to use the card, a card that you don't mind damaging, to free up these little plastic tabs along the side of the display that hold the display bezel to the display assembly. So what I'm doing is just releasing the tabs that hold the display bezel to the display assembly. And when you get near the iSight camera, you're going to want to be a little more gentle. As you're working your way around the display bezel, some of these little gray connecty tabs on the bottom might come free, and that's not a big deal. You just want to kind of push them back down into the metal housing below. As you get down to the bottom of the display, you want to make sure that you're inserting the card in between the metal frame on the LCD and the bezel, and not between the metal frame and the LCD. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the clutch cover, and I'm going to start by taking out these 3 screws. Now I'm going to use my plastic spudger to get in between the clutch cover and the case. You want to be careful not just to pull this thing off. Take these cables and kind of slide them out of the gap that you've made, like that. And you'll do the same thing over here on the other side. So now that the clutch cover is removed, we can see the inverter board. This actually powers the backlight for the LCD, and if your backlight goes out, it's probably not the LCD that's the problem. It's probably this inverter board. I'm just disconnecting it by unplugging the cables on either side. Now I'm going to use my plastic spudger to remove this bezel on the left side. Just going to insert it and push it towards the LCD. It's important that you don't lift it up vertically because these connectors are horizontal, and if you do, you'll break your connectors and then it won't go back on. Okay. Got that one off, and I'm basically going to do the same thing on the other side. Now that I've removed both of these bezels, I can get to unscrewing all the screws that are holding the LCD in place. There are a lot of them, and this is where the screw tray comes in handy. With all of those screws removed, we should be able to just lift the LCD out of the case pretty easily. There we go. I'm going to put the case aside because we're not going to need it for a little while. And take a quick look at the top of the back of your LCD. It's green and it's got some transparent film on top. Yours might even say do not touch. You don't want to touch that area. It's bad news. It can cause irreparable damage to your LCD. We're going to flip this over and put it down. And I'm going to use my spudger to go underneath these cables and take the tape off the back. If something happens to the tape or you throw it away, I guess it's no big deal. You could just use Scotch tape to replace it. And once you've got these cables free, you're just going to kind of set them aside because you're going to use them on your replacement LCD. So now that all that tape is loosened, I can disconnect the iFixit cable and this cable here, and then we're just going to lift these off and put them aside. And there's one. And there's two. All that's left to do is remove the screws around the perimeter of the frame so we can take the frame off. But before I can do that, I need to deroute this cable. You'll want to kind of be careful. Don't yank on it too hard. So with the metal frame removed, we can say bye-bye to our old LCD and install our new LCD. Also, while you're at it, if you wanted to, you could swap out the white apple in the case for something like the old school rainbow apple or just a different color. It's kind of fun, but totally something different entirely. Obviously, this repair doesn't require a whole lot of special knowledge or special tools, but if all the screws and cables are too much effort, you could always just replace the entire display assembly. At iFixit.com, you can find all the parts and tools for this and many other repairs. And if you run into problems during your repairs, there are lots of solutions in the answers section.